everyone else streaming around the world. You're listening to a special broadcast called Healing from Las Vegas, How to Move Past Your Grief or Through Your Grief in a Powerful Way. I'm Alex Urbina, transformational life coach, in studio with my co-host Sharon Brubaker. She's a certified grief recovery specialist. Hi, Sharon.
Hey, Alex.
You had an awesome session last radio show. I was digging it.
That was really cool. It was a really great subject. It was on seniors and grieving through the holidays.
Yeah, but you hit some very key points, which I'm hoping that you can serve them up today in this show. For the last 5 or 6 shows that we've had, we've been inviting people that have gone through very tragic events in that Las Vegas shooting.
Yeah. And
what courageous stories came out of that. People were brave enough to come on the radio and share. And I... just kind of doing a little reflection, I'm really moved by all that sharing. And I think I learned probably just as much as they did about the grieving process. I just feel like every time I'm in a radio show with you and talking about it, I learn more and more about it, which, there's a part of me that I hope that other people found the same interest so that they can educate themselves. Because I find that people that are struggling the most just seem to not lack or to seem to lack the to educate themselves about the subject. And it kind of takes me back to how you got involved in this grief recovery field. Is you got pulled into a tragic event and then you decided, you flipped a switch inside and you said, I want to learn everything about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2006, I've shared prior that my nephew Austin drowned in Lake Havasu. And we tried to find support. Really, I go back to this. I don't think I'd ever even said the word grief or bereavement. Who would have? I was 30-something years old. I wasn't thinking about that. So to think of that, I needed a grief support group, and that's what I went for because that's what I thought I needed. And everything out there, the misinformation out there was just was not helpful. It was just not helpful or it didn't sit right with us. And I stumbled upon this program called the Grief Recovery Institute. And that's exactly what I did, Alex. I decided that I needed to help people. I needed to get the word out that there is a way through this pain. There's absolutely a way through this pain. The other thing that's sort of crazy and strange is that people, I think Vegas, our Vegas friends and the ones that we interviewed, didn't associate the word grief with what they're actually going through. They associate other words that they hear out there, but they don't know that it's actually a grieving experience, that they actually experienced a loss through that event in their life.
To be honest with you, I don't even think I was using the word grief, and I've been working in transformational work for the last 20 plus years until I really met you. Now it's part of my vocabulary.
Right.
And I think maybe you're kind of the angel for all of us to be enlightened about the word and educate us. Because when I first started doing this work and having my own radio show, there were a lot of words that people were telling me not to use. Like people don't understand those words. And I used to tell them, well, there's certain words I can change, some I can't change because they're distinctive. And maybe I'm here to teach people what those words are. And if you're here to teach somebody a word that they don't use or don't commonly hear, that's because you don't really understand the word, and somebody has to come around and open up a possibility for you to see that word and try to make sense of it at a deeper level. So maybe you're the person that gets to educate all of us about grief and let us use that word more often and be honest with what's really happening.
Absolutely.
Because I think that's what's really happening is we're all grieving, but we want to find other words to, I don't know, maybe simplify it or
mask it
or live in the illusion that it's not happening or that it'll go away on its own.
Yeah.
Or if we don't use that word, maybe I don't have to make it real now.
Yeah, I don't have to make it real. And thank you for saying that I'm an angel. I look at it like this, that I always thought about, for me, what is the one mark that I'm going to leave on this earth? What is the one thing that I'm going to leave to society and say, hey, I was here? And it's this. It is helping people through the toughest times of their life and dealing with what's in their heart that's absolutely broken. Now, the definition for grief is very simple. Grief is a normal and natural reaction to a loss of any kind. But if it's normal and natural, why does it not feel normal and natural? And it's exactly what we're talking about, because we don't talk about it. We definitely don't talk about it with our children. Could you imagine me going up to a 5-year-old and saying, at some point, you're going to have a loss in your life and you're going to grieve? We don't do that. That doesn't even make sense. But
what we should say is you're going to have multiple losses in your life.
Yes.
Get used to it, kid.
Get used to it, kid.
Get used to learning how to move through those losses in a healthy way.
And one of the things that you and I have been talking about the last couple of weeks is even just people not wanting to have the conversation on social media. You know, I have friends or past clients that have experienced a loss, and they will share about their loved one quite often every day. And it is not uncommon for someone to go on and say, haven't you done this enough? Why are you still talking about them? Shouldn't you be done with this already? It's because the person has decided how much time it's going to take to grieve. 3 months is what you need. 3 weeks is what you need. And I don't want to hear your sad story anymore. We want to be entertained. We want to be happy. And in actuality, part of being happy is also going through loss.
Well, I make fun of you because, you know, for me, I find I have created a belief that the subject matter that I've become an expert in, you know, personal growth and parenting and getting yourself to the next level. I've created this belief that people don't really want to do that kind of work. People don't want to work on themselves.
No.
So people avoid me.
Yeah.
But for you, when it comes to grieving, I look at you and I go, man, you make me look good, because people avoid you like the plague.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny because I've you know, called you, you know, the Grim Reaper. Like, you walk around and everyone's like, don't look that way. There she goes. Just ignore her. Why are we so afraid of the word grieving? Why are we so afraid of feeling our feelings? Why are we so afraid of feeling our emotions when they're not the joyous emotions? And I shared this with you a while back, actually about a week ago, and I said I have this very powerful exercise I do in the teen training. It's an exercise called the bus. And I line up these teenagers in a line, and then I stand in the front of the line, and I have them choose left or right, which side they're going to step off the bus. And I'll say, ice cream, pizza, and then I'll say, you know, step off the bus, and then they'll step off depending on what choice they want to make. Then I go down the line and I'll say, why did you choose ice cream? Why did you choose pizza? And then they'll give me their rationale of why they made that choice. When I get to the one exercise where I say laughing or crying, 99.9% of the time, all the young people step off at laughing. And then when I ask them the question, why do you choose laughing? The common response is because I hate crying.
Right.
And I started that exercise probably about 18 years ago. And at one point, it used to be 80-20, and now it's literally 99.9%. And what it's telling me is that young people, more importantly, are slowly deciding for themselves that feeling your emotions in a negative way is bad.
Right.
Or I'm not even going to say in a negative way, but feeling emotions that are the opposite of joy and excitement and passion and fun is an icky feeling. They've made that rule in their mind. They made that belief, and they live as though that's real. And for me, personal power is deciding to change the belief, because you're the meaning maker to everything. You can actually decide that feeling sadness can actually be a liberating experience. I can experience the joy of feeling sadness and pain. Like, pain doesn't have to be an icky feeling,
right,
unless you've conditioned yourself that it is.
Very true. And do you know where they learned that from? They learned it from their parents.
Well,
and I'll tell you
how. We learn everything from our parents.
But here's how it happened. Johnny, you stop that crying right now, or I'm going to give you something to cry for. What does he learn right there? Crying is not good. She doesn't want me to cry. We came here as little children.
And this is amazing. And this is how I talk about limiting beliefs. As little kids, we create a limiting belief, but it's not directly from what you say, Mom or Dad.
Exactly.
All you said was, stop crying. It could be that simple.
Yeah.
And then I make up a belief at 4 years old that crying is bad and wrong.
Exactly. That crying is bad and right. If you don't stop that crying right now, I'm going to put you in timeout. I must isolate when I'm being bad. We came here, we were born with an ability to go from our heart to our head, to have a broken heart, go to our head, figure it out, and be able to go back to our heart again and move on. And whatever that process was. So whether we cried, we went to mom and cried about it, we were upset. Imagine little Johnny's playing Mario Brothers, and he can't get the little Mario to jump over the cliff. It keeps falling down. And then he runs up to mom and he says, I can't get this to work. He's so frustrated and he's crying. And she looks at him and she says, Johnny, you're going to have to figure this out on your own. He turns around, he goes away. You see him 20 minutes later, he's skipping in the street. He completely forgot he was playing Mario Brother. He went from his broken heart to his head, back to his heart again. But we as parents cut that off.
But what I heard distinctive in that scenario is that mom gave him a neutral response.
Yes.
Rather than projecting her own fears
Yes.
as a response for him to come up with a limiting belief that now he has to carry around that belief with them. And you got to remember that we carry around thousands and thousands of
In our
limiting
belief
beliefs
system.
with us as young people.
Yes.
And then guess what? We grow up one day
Yeah.
and we're 40 years old wondering why we're still struggling in our life and we can't move past our emotions in a healthy way.
Absolutely. Look at, oh, honey, don't feel bad. Have a cookie. Don't cry. Here, have a cookie. Grandma will make you feel better. And what has she just taught me? Well, when I'm feeling bad, I should eat.
Or ease the pain with
pain.
with something
Right?
external.
External,
right?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So then I'm always looking for what do I need to ease the pain. And that might not be a conscious thought. It could be an unconscious thought
Yes.
of I need something to ease this pain.
I think mostly it's unconscious. I think we come at it unconscious as adults. We don't realize it
Of
until we
course.
actually go back there and we look at it for ourselves.
It has to be unconscious because if we were conscious, we would have a forethought of, oh, wait a minute, if I say this,
Yeah.
how can he or she misinterpret this such that they carry this limiting belief with them and it hinders them for the rest of their life.
Exactly.
From being fully expressed, from being able to move past their emotions in a rapid pace such that they actually get off of it.
Exactly.
One of the greatest books I've read as a parent, as a conscious parent, was a book about teaching your kids how to experience their experiences at a younger age.
Right.
And the purpose is so that they can learn how to move past their hurt and their pain faster and faster.
Right.
And so it's what it says is if you give permission for your kids to experience their experiences, they'll go from experiencing sadness in 3 days to 2 days to 1 day to
Right.
8 hours to 3 hours to 2 hours to a minute. Imagine feeling sad for a minute and going, I'm off it.
I'm off of it.
Just like children do.
Yeah.
Children could be upset, cry, and then all of a sudden a butterfly can go by and they go, ooh, I'm going to chase the butterfly.
Yeah. Imagine.
To me, that's powerful.
Exactly. But imagine that same child coming to you crying and you say, okay, Johnny, I understand you're upset. Why don't I give you a few minutes? And when you're done with this, come into the kitchen and we're going to sit and talk about it. Then Johnny has his moment, right? Because you gave him permission to be okay with where he's at, even if he's getting a correction. Even if he's going to be corrected for something he may have done. He comes into the kitchen, you offer him a hug. Can I give you a hug? And then you sit and talk about it and you do your correcting process. So we're separating out the emotions and allowing him to have it and go through it is so powerful.
Beautiful. Beautifully said. I was actually going to say, to me, it sounds like you're separating.
Yeah.
You're separating the feeling with now let's course correct.
Yeah.
And what a lot of times as parents, when we're unconscious, we don't separate those two. We just try to combine it all at the same time.
Yeah.
And then we wonder why we're sending mixed messages to our kids. And then they're creating those limiting beliefs that are transparent, they're hidden, and they start to creep out at age 15, at age 13,
Absolutely.
age 16. And then all of a sudden we're now making phone calls to me.
Yes.
Right? Saying, hey, I heard you work with teens.
Yeah.
I need you to bring in my teen because I want you to fix my kid.
Fix my kid.
And I'm like, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, the first thing I need to do is talk with you. We need to work with you, and then we can work with your team.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that's what happens. So and then the kid has no safe place to go. Every time I went to mom, I couldn't go to her because she didn't give me a safe place. I've got all these emotions built up inside me, so I got to get it out some way. So they start doing we call them STRBs, short-term energy relieving behaviors. Could be cutting, could be smoking, could be drinking, could be whatever they need to start getting over that pain, because mom and dad aren't a safe place for me to go and relieve that pressure.
Yeah. Let's talk real quick before we go on a break about the time will heal.
Yeah. Yeah. So time will heal is something that we all buy into.
Who created that?
I have no idea.
Why do you think someone created the time will heal? Is it just because, and sometimes I feel that wise people will say something, like a phrase, and then sometimes we'll shorten it because we don't remember the rest of it, and then that becomes that becomes a model that everybody lives by.
It's 100% that, but it's also this, Alex. I don't want to deal with your emotion, because you come to me and your heart's broken. Let's say a teenager, right? I just broke up with my boyfriend. My heart is absolutely broken, but I don't want to deal with that. So I tell you, don't worry, honey. There's other fish in the sea. In time, you'll feel better. This pain will go away, right? Because I don't want to deal in this area, which is where grief happens, in the heart. So I'm going to take you to your head and try to sort it out in your head and try and fix it for you.
So what you're saying is that most of us will grab onto a saying or a motto that kind of caps the subject long enough for you to feel better about yourself, so that you think you're saying something to them that's powerful, but yet it gives you time to kind of move on to the next moment without helping them deal with whatever they're dealing with.
Yes, Alex, but it's also intellectual. They want to fix it in their brain. They want to give you an intellectual thought that takes you away from the emotion of what's actually broken in your heart, what you're actually feeling bad about. So I don't want to deal down here, because I might cry if you cry, but if I keep you up in the brain and I give you this quick saying, don't feel bad, time heals, you just got to keep busy. You keep busy, and I promise this will get better. All the things that we say to grieving people to make them feel better.
I get it. So what's missing is the context. And the context is the beingness, the loving, the vulnerability, the patient, the being understanding in the person who's saying time will heal.
Yeah.
And this is what I love most about you when I met you, is I know that you have a context, you have a heart, and you've practiced giving your heart away. You've practiced creating a safe space. You allow yourself to be vulnerable. You connect with people. And a lot of therapists or a lot of therapy experts in the field of nurturing and helping and support, most of them really go into that field because they want to help and make a difference.
Right.
But a lot of them haven't really done the context work on themselves, or realize or understand that that's a huge component to helping heal other people.
Right.
And so what a lot of them do is they rely on the words and the jargon and all the intellectual things to say to somebody, not realizing that 80% of it is who you're being when the person's sitting in front of you.
Absolutely.
You can heal somebody just by having a compassionate heart.
Yeah.
You can heal somebody by being patient in a space for somebody with just an open ear.
An open ear, and just listening to them and bringing your own version of the story. This is what happened to me. I don't know what you feel like, but when this loss happened to me, I remember what a broken heart feels like.
And because we're not taught how to be that for someone else, what we do is we rely on quotes or mottos
or myths
or great things to say to somebody, thinking that the words is going to be enough for them to feel better. But they don't realize that the context, the music behind the words,
right,
the essence, the beingness is missing in those words, and it just kind of falls flat.
Right. And we can also talk about, I know when we come back from our break, but the keeping busy, the part that we start adding on, because I don't want to deal with this emotion, I'm going to keep her busy, and let me take her to the mall, let me take her to the shop, let's make sure
I call that ways to avoid.
Yeah, and we call it keeping busy.
Ways to avoid the healing process.
Yes,
all right,
absolutely.
Let's talk about that when we come back from this special broadcast, Healing from Las Vegas, right here on your hometown station, KHTS.
our valley in thousands of households. Many of us were actually there. In Santa Clarita, we had 1 fatality and 14 injured by bullets. Many more were injured trying to escape. Others are still traumatized by their ordeal, finding challenges returning to normal lives. The law firm of Owen Patterson Owen is helping many Las Vegas victims get financial assistance for their ordeal. If you know someone impacted by the shooting, visit opolaw.com.
Get ready. LA Zoo Lights is back, and it's merrier, cheerier, and brighter than ever. Explore a wonderland of dazzling lights, festive food and drink, and creative displays inspired by the animals. For the perfect holiday night out with family and friends. LA Zoo Lights, LA's brightest holiday tradition. Nightly, November 17th through January 7th. Visit lazoolights.org.
First impressions say it all. Choosing the right makeup is critical to that first impression and keeping your skin looking young and healthy. That's why Santa Clarita's Jen Gerard created Gerard Cosmetics. Inspired by women of all ages who gravitate toward classic and timeless beauty with a modern twist, Gerard Cosmetics. Superb quality and pigmentation, along with lip glosses and lipsticks in colors for everyone. The internationally acclaimed Gerard Cosmetics. Discover your new look at gerardcosmetics.com.
You've been assigned to plan your office party. Time to bring in the experts. AV Party Rentals is your go-to place for the most innovative holiday party ideas. AV's been planning Santa Clarita events from giant galas to intimate gatherings for longer than, well, since Rudolph was a young fawn. AV will turn your office party into a winter wonderland. See the latest holiday displays at Santa Clarita's favorite wedding, party, and holiday event rental store, AV Party Rentals on Newhall Avenue and at avpartyrental.com.
Something big is coming to Castaic.
Is it a dinosaur, Bob?
No, Blanche.
Is it the 2020 Olympics?
No.
I know. We're finally hosting the World Cup.
No, silly. They're building Castaic High.
Bob, no way.
Go visit CastaicHighProject.com. You'll get all the latest details.
What's that web address again, Bob?
CastaicHighProject.com.
Again?
CastaicHighProject.com.
Bigger than a dinosaur?
That's right. CastaicHighProject.com.
There's only one Santa Clarita plastic surgeon who is Yale trained and board certified, Dr. Justin Heller.
To be a board certified plastic surgeon like myself, what that truly entails is about 5 to 7 years of honed surgical training in reconstructive, all areas, as well as aesthetics, which means your facelifts, your breast augmentations, your body contouring, true training, and board certification. In fact, that's the only board certified area that can be achieved in this realm.
Dr. Justin Heller, warm, understanding, always available for guidance because he's local. HellerPlasticSurgery.com.
Mission Valley Bank puts the community in community banking. They strive to be your most trusted bank. Mission Valley Bank is happy to sponsor KHTS Holiday Music. Happy holidays!
KHTS Holiday Music also brought to you by Chiquita Canyon.
From all of us at Chiquita Canyon, we'd like to wish you and your family a happy, prosperous holiday season. This year, Chiquita Canyon is proud to sponsor holiday music on your local hometown station, KHTS. Happy holidays.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
A certified grief recovery specialist, and we're back in studio talking a little bit more about how to move past your grief in a powerful way. And before we went on a break, we were talking a little bit about ways to avoid. How are some of the ways that we avoid grieving that we don't realize that we might be doing?
Yeah. So some of the ways that we avoid is we keep busy, and that's what we were talking about. Is like we absolutely keep busy. One of the ways we avoid is actually social media, drinking alcohol, stacking our calendar so tight we don't have a minute to breathe, that I can't deal with this. I don't have time to grieve right now, so I'm going to stay busy as possible. My kids really need me. I'm going to make sure I'm at every sporting event that I can possibly fill in my time so that I don't have to slow down for 1 second and deal with this. Because if I slow down, what's going to come up.
I'm going to have to feel.
Yes,
my
I'm going to have to
feelings.
feel.
So what we do is we find distractions.
Yes.
And then we make those more important
Yeah.
than really looking at how I'm feeling, acknowledging how I'm feeling, making sense of what I'm feeling, allowing myself to be okay with what I'm feeling. Everything about how you're feeling, we just don't want to go there.
Right.
Is that what's happening?
That absolutely is what happens. We go back to work way too early. It's not time yet.
And then we justify it with time will heal.
Time will heal.
Well, I've created a new one to cross out time will heal. I've created intentional and committed action. Moving yourself through your grief will heal you.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah, intentional and committed action that's actually moving you through your grief. So you actually have to go through it.
You have to go through it.
You can't put the brakes and go, "Arr!" If I just sit here stopped in front of it long enough, maybe it'll pass like the weather.
And that won't happen.
No, it doesn't happen. What it does is it suppresses itself. It stays, it lingers until another moment that happens that's tragic, or you have a different loss, or something else comes up, and then it gets re-triggered, and then it comes up again, right?
Right. And you can't push back against it. It's going to come.
You mean you can't resist it?
You can't resist it. You can't push back. No, I'm not dealing with this. I'm not dealing with this. And you just kind of, figuratively speaking, you're not actually pushing back, but you're just like, I'm not dealing with this today. I'm going to go on. I'm not going to deal with it. Because it will come back to haunt you at some point.
Well, there's a distinction, I think, of not dealing with it and resisting it.
Yeah.
Because some people will just choose not to look at it.
Not to move forward.
And pretend it's not there.
Yeah.
And then there's some that will go, all right, I'll go through it, but I'm only going to go through it
so far,
and then I'm going to resist the things that I think I can handle.
Yeah.
Things that I think I can't handle, and only address the stuff that I think I can handle.
Right. And if it gets too painful, then I'm going to stop. And that happens as well.
So in case you're wondering, like, how do I go through it? How do I just dive in there?
So for us with the Grief Recovery Institute is the first 2 weeks, we just talk about the definition of grief and what grief actually is. That grief is normal and natural. It's a normal and natural reaction to a loss of any kind. It's the feeling of reaching out for someone who's always been there, only to discover when I need them one more time, they're no longer there. We just kind of slowly walk through that. And then there are additional steps where you actually are doing the work yourself. All I'm doing is guiding you. You're literally looking in your heart and finding those areas that need to be completed. Finding those areas of loss in your heart that you never took care of, or it may be the one major loss that brought you to me. And we just slowly, it's an 8-week educational program. We slowly walk the process. And I just make little course corrections. That's all it is. And the way we think about grief and loss. And on that, I want to piggyback something on that. When my second nephew, Donovan, died tragically in a motorcycle accident 2 years ago, I had the tools that I needed to walk me through that grieving experience. But it was so different than with Austin. With Austin, I really pushed back because I didn't think I was grieving. I thought only Erica was going to grieve. And so consequently, I didn't do anything at all but be there for her, be strong for her, keep her busy. All the myths. I bought into every single one of them.
What do you mean you didn't think you were grieving? Did you
not
love him?
I loved him, but I thought that's
sense
how
to
naive
me.
it was.
I know, but I'm saying, like, just as someone from the outside looking in, right? Just an afterthought. It's like, that don't make sense. The thought went through my mind, Alex. This thought actually went through my mind, and I'm going to repeat it. Well, I'm not going to grieve. Only Erica's going to grieve because she was his mother. That's how naive I was on grief. That's how 12 years ago how naive I was on grief. But with Donovan, it was beautiful because Donovan was 21. He died tragically, but he deserved my respect. He deserved me to tell everyone around me that would listen how much I loved him, how much I cared for him. And he deserved for me to grieve him properly. Right? Absolutely.
And it made such a difference.
I believe that it was beautiful because you made it beautiful.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You decided from having
100%
previous experiences of the grieving process and realizing, wait a minute, I'm the meaning maker here. I
Yeah.
can decide what's beautiful and what's hard
Yeah.
and what's difficult. And you're the one giving each experience its own value.
Absolutely.
And so whatever you decided from within yourself through your perception or whatever, you flipped a switch and decided, I'm gonna make this a beautiful experience. And whether you chose to honor him or choose to accept that, what was happening, or accept that you had no control over it and you surrendered the resistance, or all the dynamic things that happen in that process allowed you to have an experience of it being a beautiful experience.
Absolutely. And having the proper tools made all the difference in the world. Knowing those tools, knowing what I needed to do, and going right to my heart work and working in my heart and really reviewing my relationship with Donovan. He was a crazy kid, right? So I really had to review my relationship with him. I love you, Donovan. I needed to tell him, and these were part of my work and my heart work, that I was upset that he died. I was upset that he left us. I was upset that he got on that motorcycle that night. So it were all the things that I needed to tell him I was able to complete within my heart, and I was able to complete in a beautiful way my relationship with Donovan.
So let's talk a little bit about the guests that we've had on the show.
Yes.
We've had about 4 or 5 guests that were here on the show the last, few weeks, and they were people that were part of, or the people that were affected by the Las Vegas shooting. And we probably have maybe 100 to a couple hundred of them that were affected that live in Santa Clarita Valley,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
I want to be the person who points this out, and I know I'm going to be the bad guy, and you probably want to send me emails, but I'm going to do it with the intention to call some people out that might not know they're doing what they're doing.
Right.
I get to be the bad guy to point this out as a possibility, so you can look and go, oh, maybe that's me.
Maybe that's me.
And the one thing I want to point out is the possibility that some of you can be finding this tragedy as a new way to create a new identity for yourself.
Yes.
And now, and the reason why I say that is because as human beings, we all have this part of us that wants to be part of something bigger than ourselves.
Yes. And
when you're part of something that was a world tragedy, you now, if you don't know who you are,
right,
deep down inside, and you don't know what your own identity really is, and you're on that journey to try to figure out who you are unconsciously, and you have that void there, this now can become your identity.
Absolutely.
Don't you know who I am?
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of the survivors,
right,
from this whatever tragedy or whatever event you've gone through. And you could be owning this identity and not even know it. Right. But other people can be watching and seeing it and identifying it and going, oh, how do we help those people?
You wear it like a badge, a crown, like a crown almost.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
And I'm not knocking anyone for saying that this is something that you've gone through and not having, be proud of yourself for overcoming and all that kind of stuff. I just want to point out the unhealthy part where you make it your identity and you create that badge to put on you like a tattoo.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying all people that get the tattoo. Some of us get the tattoo from a healthy, healed, I've moved on sort of place as a statement. And then some of us get the tattoo for some of the wrong reasons that can actually keep us trapped and keep us stuck there.
Right. And so in grief recovery, we call that the Academy Award-winning behavior. So they literally are acting recovered. They're acting okay. Part of it comes from having to be strong or wanting to be strong or acting like it really didn't affect me. I was able to handle it on my own. I don't need any help. I'm okay. I'm strong. We get this a lot with men. I'm strong. I just need to push through. Or women, I'm too busy. I can't deal with this right now. The thing that is so important and people need to hear is that it will come back. It will come back in other ways in our life. It will show up in other ways. It's got to come out some way.
I get it. And this is a great example of children that go through a divorce.
Yes.
And parents aren't aware enough to go, my sons and daughters just went through something tragic.
Right.
They experienced a loss.
Yes.
To some degree, and they need some kind of support. They need somebody or some unit or some group to be able to help them make sense of it and go through that grieving process in a healthy way. If they don't, then they're going to be stuck with the stuff that's later going to come out when they're 15, when they're 18, when they're 30, when they're 65.
When they're married.
It's going to come out at some point, and it could be toxic.
And what about the fact that even just little Johnny felt that he was responsible for the divorce, and he carries that on, and it starts to affect his self-esteem and feeling that, it just snowballs into something else, that he caused this and that it was his fault, and then he carries that on with him to junior high, to high school, just like you said. Absolutely.
And then as you're talking about, that badge and taking on that identity, I immediately thought of people that when they were younger, they were abandoned, like foster kids.
Right.
You can literally take on the identity of a foster kid.
Yeah.
Called I'm Not Wanted.
Yeah.
And then you wonder why you're in your 60s and been divorced 10 times because you have this unworthiness about you that sabotages every relationship because you're operating from that I'm an unwanted person. I'm unlovable because I was given up when I was a kid.
Yeah.
This is how, if you don't look at how these tragedies not being dealt with can come up and creep up later and sabotage an extraordinary life that you could be living. I think it's tragic for at least somebody not to talk about it, to point it out as a possibility.
Absolutely. And so think about also the griever that comes to me to deal with the death of someone in their family. And it's sort of like peeling back the layer of an onion. So we deal with that death, but then as they were going through their work, they realized, well, actually I did have a child molestation in my childhood, or my parents got a divorce. My parents had a terrible marriage. And then I start dealing with these other losses that have never been dealt with, only to uncover, when we get to that last layer, their own self-worth of what they're feeling may come up and say, I've never felt worthy. I've never felt good enough. I've never felt that I measured up. So it happens all the time. When I start peeling back the layers, there's a lot under there sometimes.
I think that, as human beings, if we have been avoiding our emotions for so long, we're robbing ourselves from a gift of healing ourselves.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because I facilitate different transformational trainings.
Right.
And you've been in one of them.
Yes.
And in those trainings, there's 2 or 3 powerful moments where we have an exercise that we call cathartic.
Yeah.
We give you an opportunity in this safe environment with a bunch of people that are courageous like you, that aren't here to judge, that we're going to go and get some work done. Like going to a gym and we're all working out at the same time. And in these, 45-minute sessions, we're all cathartically releasing and letting go of stuff. In over 20 years, I've had people come to me and say, Alex, I've been in therapy for 20 plus years.
Yes.
And I've never felt like this before.
Yeah.
I never felt so free because of when you talk about going through, we don't just tippy-toe.
Yeah.
We dive in.
And we admit it.
And some people
we're honest.
Some people can literally heal themselves in one of our sessions in a training. Or I'm sure you get people when they come to you, if they're really courageous and rigorously and intentionally committed to healing, you can get them through the process faster than somebody that tries to do it on their own, and they linger through the process for 30, 40 years.
Of course. And the one thing is admitting that this is there. I have to admit that it's there. I have to admit that I'm powerless and I wasn't able to fix this in the past. And I have to be honest. We have to tell the truth about ourselves always. Even if that truth, Alex, is ugly. Even if that truth is ugly. And it's...
Especially when it's ugly.
It's what you do and what I do. Setting up that safe place and not judging them. When they come out with that statement of whatever it is, it just is. It's their experience. And let me help you complete that.
What's amazing is the professionals that know how to create that space.
Yeah.
They're not judging you. They're actually inspired by whatever you're willing to reveal to them.
Right.
In fact, when I set that space up, I even go first.
Yeah.
As an example to go,
100%.
This is what I want. This is the place and how deep I want you to go, that I'm willing even to go there first to set the tone, to say, oh, wow, it's okay to do that, then I'm going to go for it.
I do the same thing in grief recovery. I go first.
I just realized as we were talking about, you helping somebody go through that recovery and diving in versus somebody that is lingering and tippy-toeing, for 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
I got the visual of two little kids that in the summertime just finished eating their sandwich and they got to the pool, and one of them goes, I'm going to wait for my food to
go down.
And the other guy goes, man, I'm in.
Jumping right in.
And he's in swimming for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? And the kid that's like, all right, I think my food's gone down. And then he goes and he puts his toe in there. And he goes, ooh. And from his toe, then he puts half of his foot.
Yeah.
And then it's his ankle. And he gets his other foot in. Now it's 40 minutes. And he's like, and the other guy's just swimming, having a good old time.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the difference between you just going, you know what? I want to get in there. I know I got to get in there. There's so much joy inside of there or out on the other end. Just dive in.
Just dive in.
Just trust the people that are with you. Trust the person that's already in it.
Trust the process.
Telling you how amazing and warm it becomes.
Yep.
Yeah, it might be cold for the first 2 minutes, but you have what it takes to endure that cold for 2 minutes, and all of a sudden your body's going to start to shift, and the temperature is going to feel warm, and you're going to enjoy it now the rest of your day.
And that's also where the guide comes in, needing the guide. Because how much more fun would it have been if mom walked up and said, no, buddy, you're going in, and she just threw him in and jumped in right after him. That's where the guide comes in.
Yeah, and so those are the things that, we really want to look at when we look at recovery. And I'm so grateful that I met you and that we're having these kinds of conversations, whether people don't want to look at it or not, or, when you walk in a room, people avoid you. I'm going to come up to you anyways. And so
Thank you, Alex.
So you have a friend that knows what it's like
You're my one friend.
to be avoided, because the average person does not want to look at this. But the courageous ones that do, they create so much peace and joy and purpose, and they learn how to get back to thriving in their life.
And it's lighter. You're not carrying around a 20-pound bag of potatoes of pain.
I love it. Stay tuned for more of the special broadcast called Healing from Las Vegas, right here in your hometown station, KHTS.
There's a very good reason Gilbertson and LaCourneau have been voted Santa Clarita's #1 orthodontist for 8 years in a row.
There's a lot of orthodontists in our community and a lot of really great doctors.
Dr. Megan LaCourneau.
Artistically, I like nice big smiles. Those are the smiles that wow people. So in all my treatment planning, I don't do a one-size-fits-all. I look at the patient's facial structure and I match their smile to their facial structure.
Dr. Megan LaCourneau of Gilbertson and LaCourneau.
Embrace your smile.
EmbraceYourSmile.com.
Your Friday nights just got even better. Vine's Restaurant at Hyatt Valencia is making your next date night easy with their prime rib buffet, featuring slow roasted prime rib, homemade soup, fresh shrimp salad, and a whole lot more for only $29.50. The Vine's Restaurant new prime rib buffet, Friday nights at the Hyatt. Make your next Friday date night at the Vines. And keep every day of your week happy at the Vines Lounge and Patio. Happy hour 4 to 7 p.m. daily, featuring $5 appetizers and drinks.
This holiday season, Party Homes has a special gift for homebuyers. Shiny new appliances, merry and bright. Right now, during our Home for the Holidays event, when you buy a new move-in ready home at Arista or Verano before December 31st, we'll outfit your new home with a brand new GE washer, dryer, and French door refrigerator. Don't wait, this special offer ends December 31st, 2017. Visit partyhomes.com/home for the holidays for details.
Discover if you have the willingness, ability, and resources to take on the challenge of helping a child in need. Children's Bureau is holding a foster care adoption monthly information meeting on Saturday, December 16th from 10 a.m. till noon at COC's Valencia campus at the Dr. Diane G. Van Hook University Center, room 222. Become a resource parent and be the reason a child is safe, happy, loved, and thrives. To RSVP or for more information, please call 208-4212. Or visit all4kids.org.
The magic of the Christmas season comes to life on stage with Santa Clarita Ballet's production of The Nutcracker. This captivating and thoroughly entertaining holiday classic performed by Santa Clarita Ballet features characters that delight audiences. Travel with Mary and her Nutcracker to the land of sweets, where she meets the Sugar Plum Fairy. Performances run Saturday, December 16th through Sunday, December 17th at Santa Clarita Performing Arts Center at COC. Call 251-0366 or visit santaclaritaballet.net.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
I should have worn earrings today.
Buckle up, Sarah.
Michaela's got like the best earrings.
Sarah, buckle up.
I wish my name was Michaela.
We're not hitting the road until you buckle up, honey.
Oh yeah, seatbelt. I wonder if there's pizza at school today.
It can be tough getting through to kids, but it's your job to make sure they're wearing your seatbelts. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
Welcome back to the special broadcast called Healing from Las Vegas. How to move through your grief in a powerful way. I'm Alex Trina, hanging out with my co-host Sharon Brubaker. And if you're just joining us, we had a pretty powerful.
It was amazing.
Wasn't it amazing?
It was totally amazing.
And then not having the guests. I mean, I love having the guests.
I love the guests.
But just to get us both on a topic that we can just keep tweaking and turning and twisting so that we can look at it in all different ways. Not that one is better than the other, but just so we can learn from it. And
Absolutely.
I learned so much from just keep having these deep discussions and kind of fluffing it up to see what we can find. Where's the value at for myself?
Exactly. And getting the word out there so people know that we're going to go through this and it's okay. And there's help for you.
Absolutely.
There's help to go with you.
Before we wrap up, I want to go over some common responses after you go through a tragic event or a loss. And after the initial shock wears off, I'm going to rattle off some of these responses. And then whatever really kind of resonates with you and something you want to talk about, let's go there. So one of them is irritability.
Yeah.
You're irritable. There's a sudden dramatic mood changes. You all of a sudden become moody. Mm-hmm. You have anxiety and nervousness.
Yeah.
There's anger. Maybe you're in a denial phase, like this didn't happen. Depression, flashbacks, or repeated memories of that event over and over again. You have difficulties concentrating at work or having certain things that you've taken on. Altered sleeping or insomnia. Changes in appetite.
Yes.
Intense fear that the traumatic event's going to reoccur at a particular moment.
Absolutely.
Withdrawal and isolation from day-to-day activities. Physical symptoms such as stress or headaches or nausea. And then the last one is, worsening of an existing medical condition. That condition that you had now starts to kind of be chronic. Yeah.
And that's part of the medical condition becoming chronic is that's part of it. The pain is going to come out some way.
Oh.
So it's got to find a way out.
It found its path to least resistance, so it's going to come down that way.
It's going to come out some way.
Wow, I never realized that.
So you maybe experience some of these, all of these, or none of these. That's the other thing that's so crazy. So yes.
Why none of them?
Because you're avoiding.
Oh.
And you're pushing it down so far, you won't allow it to come out.
So I'm glad we talked about avoiding because the person that's avoiding goes, I don't have any of those.
I don't have any of those. I'm great. I have my crown. I'm a survivor. I did okay. I got through it. So yes, definitely. You can have a few. A lot of people don't associate these with grief. They don't associate these changes in eating behaviors, roller coaster of emotions. Many, many times, Alex, someone will be grieving and they'll go to the doctor and they'll be misdiagnosed as depressed, as anxiety disorder, and be given medication for those things.
I just realized if you were already in a chronic depressed state before a tragedy or a loss, and then you have these signs, you're kind of like, I've been feeling like this for 3 years now.
Oh, yeah.
7 years now. So how's it any different?
When Donna then passed away, my sister went to the doctor for a regular checkup. The doctor knew that she had lost her son. The nurse came in and took out a sheet and asked her about 40 or 45 questions. And she said, is this part of your checkup routine? She asked the doctor. And the doctor said, no, I need to see if you're actually grieving. And crazy questions. And she said she was shocked that he would even go there. She's like, of course I'm grieving. I lost my son. I am grieving. So it was very interesting to have that experience and how the medical profession will approach it.
How do you know if someone's grieving? when you ask them that? Because I mean, even as a specialist, you're observing. You got to also be careful to not project your own, kind of idea from your experiences of what it looks like.
Absolutely.
And be open to it looks 100 different ways or even 1,000 different ways.
It always looks a different way.
So what do? Do you just flat out ask them?
I don't
certain
ask
questions.
them.
Or
We just talk. We just talk about their experience.
So you just trust by talking it through that they're in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're going to tell me I'm not eating. They're going to tell me I'm over drinking. They're going to tell me I have to sleep all the time. They're going to tell me the things that they're absolutely doing to cope, and it's just going to come out naturally in their conversation, and that's kind of how I know. And it shows up in different ways all the time. One of the other signs that I find if someone is really grieving deeply, they'll tell me a lot. They're either overeating or they can't even get the food to go down. And it's really funny. They'll use those exact terms. I can't get the food to go down. I have a loss of appetite. So
I remember when this event happened, I remember feeling unsettled for about a week and a half.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering how many other people, because we're compassionate human beings and we care about others, weren't grieving ourselves to some degree, right? Even if it's a smaller level, we still felt those feelings. We still are heartbroken, and we still felt all that, and we just powered through it until the next story.
Yep.
Until it became something else. And so I'm so glad that we're still having this conversation for those people that might be stuck or still need a reminder that, hey, great job. Let's keep going.
Right.
Let's get you to the other side of the tunnel. And I just want to give a shout out to all those people that are still finding the courage to be that warrior and pushing through this, because, a lot of the times the world just moves on and we forget about these people.
And we forget about these people. And if you think that might be you, get in touch with me. I do
How do we get in touch with you?
I'm at SharonBrubaker.com or Sharon at Sharon Brubaker, BRUBAKER.com. And I do a free 15 to 30 minute mini session, and we just have a conversation. It's really light and easy.
I love it. Sounds good. Reach out to Sharon Brubaker. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in to this special broadcast called Healing from Las Vegas, right here in your hometown station, KHTS.
We're here with you.